Hello everyone, today's lesson is about population dynamics. It is the first LEQ that we are going to be looking at in our new Unit 8 Ecology. So we are starting our ecology unit. So what we're going to be talking about as far as population dynamics goes, we're going to be looking at how can we use our understanding of population dynamics to protect endangered species. So if you remember last unit, at the end of evolution, we talked a little bit about extinction, and we talked about how extinction is where you have a species that no longer exists on Earth. So when we talk about endangered species, these are species that are in danger of going extinct. So we definitely want to use our knowledge of population dynamics to protect these endangered species. So one of the first things I want to do is just review levels of organization in ecology, because this is really important. You should have learned this probably in 6th grade, but just so you understand from kind of the smallest to the largest ecological grouping, this is how they go. So an individual, just one single organism. Population, a group of the same species of organisms living in the same area. Okay. The next one is a community, which is a group of different species living and interacting in the same area. Then you have the ecosystem, which is all the abiotic and biotic parts in an area. If you forget what abiotic and biotic means, we're going to be looking at that a little bit later on. A biome is a major community of plants and animals with similar environmental conditions, and a biosphere is all areas where organisms exist. So basically, the biosphere is our Earth. So when we start looking at population dynamics is going to be the study of the sizes of populations and the factors involved in maintaining, increasing, or lowering those sizes. So if you have a certain number of, let's say, wolves in a population, you can maintain that number, you can increase that number, or you can lower the number. So population dynamics is the study of how populations change, like the numbers and the sizes in the population change. So we have to look at factors that affect populations. So if we want to look at things that would cause a population of organisms to maybe grow in size, immigration is one of those things. So I have my population of wolves. I have new wolves moving in to my area from another area. That would increase that wolf population. Also, births would increase wolf populations. So having puppies would increase the wolf population. Things that would decrease the wolf population would be things like emigration. So if wolves leave the pack and move out of the area, that would decrease the number of wolves in the population. Deaths would also decrease the number of wolves in a population. So these are some factors that affect the populations. When we start looking at the factors, we can have biotic factors or abiotic factors affecting the populations of organisms. Biotic factors are all the living things that affect the populations. Abiotic factors are all the non-living things that affect the population. So when we start looking at this, factors that affect populations, limiting factors are factors, whether they're biotic or abiotic, that affect the number of organisms that can live in a population. They limit the number of organisms that can be in the population. That's why they're called limiting factors. Carrying capacity. For all the different populations, there is actually a maximum number of organisms the environment can support, and it can't go over that maximum. So, for example, if we're looking at limiting factors and carrying capacities, and maybe our example was a fish tank, some abiotic factors that might affect the fish tank. Space. It's a big deal whether you have a little tiny fish tank or a great big fish tank. If you have a little tiny fish tank, you might not be able to have many fish in it. If you have a great big fish tank, you might have all sorts of stuff. Light will affect the fish tank. So if you have, let's say you have plants and things like that in the fish tank to provide dissolved oxygen into the water, if you don't have the right amount of light going in, that might also affect the population and the organisms in the tank. The water level is going to affect the carrying capacity of the fish tank. So these would all be limiting factors. If you have a little tiny fish tank, you can't have a lot of fish. It's going to, the space, the size of the fish tank is going to limit the number of fish that you can put in the fish tank. So maybe a small fish tank, maybe the carrying capacity is 10 fish. That's all that little fish tank can hold, where the carrying capacity of something like the ocean is huge, okay? So biotic factors, things like predators, food, mates, maybe you only have one fish in the fish tank. Well, can't mate. So you're only going to ever have one fish in the fish tank. When that fish dies, then that's it. Maybe you run out of food and now you can't put food in the fish tank. So these are all examples of factors that will limit how many fish can be in the fish tank and will actually cause the fish tank to have a carrying capacity, to have a maximum number of fish that the tank can hold. Okay, so let's get back to the LEQ. How can we use our understanding of population dynamics to protect endangered species? Well, one endangered species that we have here in North America and in PA is the bog turtle. It's a little tiny turtle, and I took a picture specifically with somebody's hands in because the turtle is about 4 inches in size. So it is a very, very small turtle. And the reason for its endangerment is things like habitat loss, invasive species, pollution, and these are all limiting factors. So you're getting rid of habitat. So that limits the number of bog turtles that can survive. Invasive species, you have other organisms out competing the bog turtle. You have other organisms maybe coming in and eating the bog turtle. Pollution, same thing. Some of these factors are biotic. Definitely the invasive species is biotic. Things like pollution, abiotic factors. So there's a combination in understanding how these factors affect the population of bog turtles, affect their dynamics, affect whether they're increasing in number, maintaining their number, or decreasing in the number, will help us protect them. Okay, so and if you're interested in the bog turtle, I do have a link in the Google slides for you that you can go and you can look at some of the bog turtle pictures and things like that. They're really, really cute. So looking at this, one of the things that we're going to be doing in order to understand population dynamics, we're going to be doing a lab, and we're going to be looking at the population dynamics of coyotes, rabbits, and clover. So I am actually going to go through, I'm going to have another little video talking about how to go through and do the lab, and I'm actually going to walk you through a couple steps of the lab so that you understand how to do it. All right, so if you have any questions about any of the population dynamic stuff that I went over in the Google slides, please stop in to office hours and ask if you have questions. All right, thank you. Bye.